Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars universe seems to be quite expansive, not just with their upcoming books, novels, comics, and video games, but let's not forget about their upcoming Star Wars TV shows and movies in the works that are really going to propel themselves into this new treatment under Disney and how they respect Star Wars from this point on forward. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, it is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have all their eyes set on is exactly how they are going to be able to transfer Star Wars Legends into the Disney canon universe, right? And that's what they're choosing very carefully with. They are picking and choosing, or cherry picking, I should say, very wisely on what highlights they are about to use from Legends books, such as the Thrawn trilogy, the New Jedi Order books, Shadows of the Empire, Dark Empire, and a whole lot more, even Heir to the Empire at that, becoming a big part of this Mandoverse timeline. Now, with that being said and all, one of the biggest subjects last week was the transition between both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, the two Disney CEOs, as I like to call it, the Battle of the Bobs. They didn't really have the greatest transition again. They had a lot of, problems with each other. They've had a grudge against each other, believe it or not, for the past couple of years now, since 2020. And given that Bob Chapek is now out with Iger in, a couple of changes are shifting around on a business scale. Not necessarily creatively, or not necessarily anything to do with Star Wars specifically, in that sense where nothing's going to be done with John and Dave, which is good, because they're going to continue to do what they want. But what Bob Iger is changing is exactly who is set to take over Lucasfilms' Kathleen Kennedy. Let's dive right into this. Now, with Kathleen Kennedy focused on creating Indy 5, Acolyte, and Skeleton Crew, she has also been dealing with many conflicts behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm with the Disney higher-ups. However, it's described that with Bob Iger now gathering a list of candidates to replace Kathleen Kennedy, he had updated that candidate list and changed things around based on what Chapek initially was planning to do to replace Kathleen Kennedy. As of right now, Jerry Bruckheimer is out as a candidate to take over. However, those who are in are described to be the following: David Heyman, Nina Jacobson, and surprisingly, producer Ron Howard. Bob Iger is described to have all eyes on Ron Howard to take over Kathleen Kennedy as the new Lucasfilm president, since Howard both worked on Star Wars creatively and also helped in saving the Han Solo film after Kathleen Kennedy's disastrous move of letting the original creators go midway through filming. Howard is said to have already had a phone call with Bob Iger and is set up to have a meeting as well in 2023 about this opportunity, and that they are indeed planning on getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy by Q3 of 2023. Now let me pause right here for a second. Now, in case you guys have no idea who Ron Howard is, this is the guy that stepped in as, a creator for the Han Solo film. He fixed everything. He literally redid 80% of the movie. This guy had a lot of stress on his shoulders, let me just say that. But Ron Howard, his daughter Bryce Dallas Howard, is actually a director of many of the episodes, I should add, of The Mandalorian, and she's going to be involved with the upcoming Bo-Katan series that we talked about that is currently dubbed as Star Wars Mandalore, and she's also going to be involved in some future Mandalorian seasons, most likely The Mandalorian Season 4 as well. Now, with that being said, we already know that Howard is a very, very good producer. He's made astonishing movies in his career. I think one of my favorites out there has got to be A Beautiful Mind. Very well written, very well played out. And I think that's exactly why Disney chose him right from the get-go to save the Han Solo movie, is because of his, let's just say, his top-notch list of movies in the past, right? So, Kathleen Kennedy has been having a lot of issues with The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew And with all those reshoots, you know, coming into the equation here, we've seen this time and time again. Now, with that being said, Ron Howard actually has a history with George Lucas. He actually worked on, of course, and was involved in with American Graffiti. Now, with that being said, too, moving forward, alright, this was, of course, all a part of the plan by Bob Chapek to get rid of Kennedy by Q3 that Iger is now picking up on. However, his backup plan is producer David Heyman, who was a part of the heavily involved Harry Potter films and is a true Star Wars fan. However, Iger's current presence is Ron Howard, since he has a deep history with Star Wars now, along with his daughter working on The Mandalorian. Kathleen Kennedy is aware of these choices and she's reportedly not endorsing them, which is not a big surprise. Ron Howard is said to be 100% up for the job once Kennedy is removed sometime next year. In the meantime, Kennedy is trying to find a way out on her own before Disney fires her first in order to make headlines less harsh on her as a producer. So you can see that she's got quite a number of concerns about her name being in the news everywhere about all of this once she's fired. She's embracing this, she's getting ready for it, and she's not looking forward to it. Now let's just put things out there very clear too. We've talked about this, that she is already creating her own production company. It's already dubbed as Starlight Productions. That's not the final name, by the way. But she plans to create a competitor against Star Wars, Star Trek, just everything sci-fi out there. This is going to be a production company that only creates sci-fi movies and TV shows that's going to either use ex-Lucasfilm employees or current ones that are loyal to Kathleen Kennedy that she will be hiring. This seems to be her endgame before she retires from the film industry and getting out altogether after Lucasfilm, and whether or not she gets out or after she's fired, alright, before or after she gets fired by Disney, it all doesn't really matter at the end of the day because she still plans on sticking with the film industry, creating a competitor, getting movies out there into the theaters and on TV as well. Now, moving forward from all of that too, I think that Ron Howard would maybe be a better choice than David Heyman. Even though, yes, David Heyman has a lot of experience with those Harry Potter movies and is also a very big Star Wars fan, there's no doubt in saying that Ron Howard has a very detailed, creative mind, and there's no doubt about it, even though that he's not a mega Star Wars fan like John and Dave is, he's got that creative input. He knows how movies need to work, how shows have to work, and how they have to cater to the fandom on some level. You know, common sense is what I like to put out there, right? You need that. So I think that Ron Howard is the choice, and Bob Iger should stick with him, even if it's going to be a very difficult process. I'm not quite sure how busy Ron Howard is at the moment. I'm pretty sure that he's got quite a lot of free time as of this moment, and so that would be a shoe-in at that point. That would be a big in for him if he's not all that busy. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.